Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis, hence the name of my channel, Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. 4 years ago, I was asked to come up with a series of videos that were filmed inexpensively. We don't use digital cameras, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't use shotgun microphones, we wear tatty shirts, we just use a phone. But we look at cars that you can buy for a budget up to £1,000 only, and we very much enjoy ourselves. These are cars that might be in cosmetically bad condition. You might see oil leaks, rattly dashboards and cosmetic imperfections, but we go all over the country and we find these very inexpensive cars that you all seem to enjoy watching. Well viewers, we've come to the end of the year. This is the last review that I'm filming in 2023, and what a treat this is. A 2009 Nissan Pixo 1 litre N-Tec automatic. I know, you didn't realise that Nissan made an automatic Pixo either, did you? But here is one, and it's not just a car that is appearing on the channel. I actually had the privilege of sourcing this one myself yesterday. So the Pixo was made from 2009 to 2013. It's actually a version of the last generation Suzuki Alto that was marketed over here, that was sort of until 2014. Both were built at the Suzuki Maruti factory in India, and at one point this was Britain's cheapest car. I don't know particularly if it was this time. This was made in 2009. Price did vary a bit on the base model. The base model was very basic actually. This is the N-Tec, which was towards the top of the range, and because it's got an automatic gearbox, this one actually did command a bit more of a sort of premium. You just don't see them. When I actually looked at the advert for this car on Auto Trader, usually they tell you on there whether the car is you know, good price or a great price or whatever. This didn't say anything because I don't think that this actually had anything to compare it against. Come to Harefield Parish Church today, St Mary's Harefield, which is a location from a lot of television series that a lot of you might have seen. It was used in 1968 to film the episode of Joe 90, the Unorthodox Shepherd. In 1976 it was used to film a New Avengers episode called To Catch a Rat, and in 1979 it was used to film an episode of Professionals called Stopover. It's also used in an episode of Bugs from 1996 called Happily Ever After, but we don't really talk about that, do we? Bugs is it's not good. Pixo, however, it is good. One thing you'll notice about this is actually there have been some compromises to get this low price. One of them is the fact that the rear windows just pop out. They don't actually have any wind down feature. Another one is that the car has to have the boot open with the key unless you've got a high spec model like this, in which case you can use an internal release. I'm just going to use the key. On the Vizia base model, you didn't get an internal boot release, you didn't get side airbags, you didn't get central locking, and you didn't get air conditioning. Fortunately on this we have all those things. Weirdly, this little parcel shelf, this tiny little parcel shelf, doesn't actually move with the boot. You've got to move that manually out of the way if you want to have a look inside. I'll just move that down, I'll put it back up. Then we'll open up the boot floor. You can see you've got a little space saver. The boot is not the biggest in capacity. It's actually smaller, if you can believe this, than a Toyota Aygo of this era. It's 129 litres, which is absolutely tiny. I'll have to sort that out later, viewers. So I'll do it with one hand. So you can't fit an awful lot in here. You can, however, split and fold the rear seats. That would give you a bit more luggage space. Problem is, though, that again on the base model, you didn't get split folding seats. Just the ways in which they kind of skimped on certain things that we take for granted in modern cars. Fortunately, on this N-Tec version, we've got curtain airbags, we've got side airbags, and all sorts of other things, and we've even got electric front windows and air conditioning. So are all good. Right, let me just adjust this parcel shelf and then we'll get in the back. So we can move the seat forward a little bit to help me get in. I'm just going to close this window because when we go for a drive it will be a bit noisy. Just lots and lots and lots of hard plastic. I mean, actually it's quite hard wearing. I've heard actually the interior of this car does hold up to wear and tear quite well. Back is absolutely fine. I mean, there's actually quite a lot of room in here for a little tiny car like this. Shut the door. Oh, we've got a door pocket there as well with a bottle holder. It's a bit dark in here though. As you can see on this side, we've not got an awful lot of sort of real estate in terms of the glass. It's quite small. So maybe not the most light, but actually because of this headliner, it's okay in here. We've got these seats a bit like, again, an Igo or a C1 or the 107. They this sort of integrated headrest into, or head restraint I should say, people get annoyed about it if I don't call it that. Integrated into the rest of the seat. And then the dashboard, which looks okay actually. It doesn't look too bad. There's the automatic gear selector. It's actually just a 4-speed auto. It's not an automated manual or a CVT in this car. It's actually just a normal 4-speed auto, which in terms of reliability is actually really good. Yeah, just a 2-seater, no armrest in here. We do have the head restraints at the back though, and it's yeah, it's okay. There's no armrest in the middle or anything, but you wouldn't expect that. Okay, let's get in the front. Right, yeah, Suzuki key, as you can see. The only real difference between one of these and an Alto is the badge on the inside. These being quite an early car, it's a 2009, we have the earliest style of interior. The later ones from 2012 onwards do have a slightly different interior, but it's not particularly different. There's no glove box, so I won't bother with my secret mission documents today. I did say about the curtain airbags. This model doesn't actually have the traction control and the curtain airbags of the Tecna, which is strange. They had 4 trim levels, but by the end there were only 2 trim levels, if that makes sense. This was the N-Tec. I think it was sort of number 3 out of 4 because we haven't got the traction control or the curtain airbags. We've got side airbags though, and we've got air conditioning. Things actually feel okay in here. The indicator stalk, wiper stalk feel okay. They're actually the conventional way round in this car. We've got tiny, tiny little slim door pockets, and then of course a place to put other stuff. Got some air vents. I don't think we actually get aux in on this stereo, which is a bit annoying. Maybe some of the later ones had that. But it's very, very simple to operate. I mean, it feels fine. I don't know what on earth you put in there. It just falls straight out, actually. I don't quite know what that's for, but there we go. We have got some little cup holders there. This would normally be a 5-speed mount. This one's an automatic. And that's about it, really. There's not really an awful lot to say. But then the sort of person who buy a Pixo back in the day was looking for a really, really kind of cheap car to run with low insurance, and this is what one of these is. Let's take a look under the bonnet. So here we are. It's the 1 litre 3-cylinder Suzuki engine generating 67 horsepower. That was the only engine available in one of these cars, whether you're looking at the Alto of this generation or the Pixo. ABS pump is there. Pretty easy to work on, chain driven engine. Suzuki engines in general are exceptionally reliable, so shouldn't be too much of a problem with this. This car's only got 13,000 miles on the clock, so it drives like new. The only issue with this one, and despite the low mileage, it's actually showing on the MOT advisories, is that these cars were not undersealed from new. And so this is just on the very, very early stages of getting an advisory for general surface corrosion, which I've told my client to get done as soon as possible when the car gets serviced, just to have it undersealed, and that will be fine for many, many years to come. The automatic gearbox, I mean, I suppose you could service it if you wanted to. At this sort of mileage, I don't think it's going to be worth doing for a little while. But yeah, it looks smart with this high spec front end with the fog lamps. The only real difference between this and an Alto front end is the headlamps and the grille, otherwise they're pretty similar. Right, let's go for a drive then, viewers. So as you'd expect a car like this, the Pixo's extremely easy to drive, particularly with this automatic gearbox. Although the 0 to 60 time of this automatic model is 16.4 seconds, which sounds like an eternity, if you're just driving around town, it actually feels okay. I have driven this car on a dual carriageway and it really wasn't that bad as well. It was absolutely fine. The only thing you're going to have to get used to is the fact that I think unless you've got a Tec model, there's no rev counter, which doesn't really matter if you've got this automatic model. It's just something to get used to. Obviously, if you're looking at an iGo or a C1 or a 107, then a lot of those don't have rev counters either. With a manual model, 0 to 60 is a bit reduced, about 13.4 seconds, which sounds like, you know, will be fine for most people. They're not really designed for long motorway drives, but I think this car is more refined actually than a 107 or an iGo or a C1. Yesterday when we were out looking at cars, I did drive an automatic 107. It was very, very noisy, and of course it's not got a normal automatic gearbox, it's got an automated manual in it, and it feels like a learner driver who can't actually change gear properly. The clutch is just constantly slipping in them, whereas this is a 4-speed auto from the K12 Micra, and it's fine. Steering actually is quite nice. It does feel quite nice to drive. This low mileage example, of course, there's no problem with the suspension or anything like that because it's pretty underused really. And actually, the road noise doing 40 down on this road here is absolutely fine. Engine only produces about 67 horsepower, but that's fine. It's about the same for the Daihatsu engine and the C1 and the iGo and the 107 produces as well, which is interesting really. The main thing about driving one of these is that you just forget that there's lots of things you don't need. You think you need certain things, but actually maybe you don't. And if you're running one of these cars, the tax on the manual model is very cheap. It's I think either free on some of the later cars, in 2012 and onwards it's free on the manuals. The automatic it's £150, and the earlier manuals is about £20 or £30, so it's not really that expensive to tax, which is great. Fuel economy on the manual models it's about 64 miles per gallon, on the automatic like this about 54, but that's on the old NEDC driving cycle, and so that really is going to depend an awful lot on how you drive. You're probably not going to quite get close to those sort of figures if you're in town. This automatic gearbox, it's changed perfectly fine. It's smooth enough. The whole sort of feeling about driving one is, oh, there's an Alto there. Driving one of these is that it's just really, really easy. It's really, really simple. It's ideal as like a first car or something like that because of the low insurance and the cheap running costs. So viewers, should you consider a Nissan Pixo for your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? I think we're stretching it slightly with the Pixo because I have seen one for about £1,350, but I think these cars are going to come to stage very shortly, if they're not already, where a high mileage early Vizio, which is the base model, is going to be under £1,000. And also, you lot prefer no budget reviews anyway, from what I understand. So the base model was called the Vizio, and there was the Ascenta, then the N-Tec, which is this one, and then the Tecna. The Tecna and the Ascenta were discontinued by 2011, which left just the N-Tec and the Vizio on sale until 2013. We don't have a rev counter, we don't have electric mirrors, but we do have a car that's a lot of fun. The only really sort of horrible thing I've heard about these cars is it's rust. Other than that, it's just general maintenance. We've actually got power steering in all models, which is good. And if you can actually find one of these, they're not very common. Probably the 5-speed manual will make sense for most people, although you can get an automatic. And it's quite a good car for not a lot of money. And the Igos and T1s and 107s are actually quite overpriced at the moment. These are a bit cheaper for some reason. But anyway, thank you ever so much indeed for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video in the comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.